Hi there, and welcome to my classroom. This is a new series on dihybrid crosses, and in part 1 we are going to look at the law of independent assortment and its application in grade 12 life sciences. Now, first of all, remember that a dihybrid cross is going to involve two pairs of alleles instead of the monohybrid cross which we have been dealing with up to this point. Now, it's very important, the di meaning two, so two pairs of alleles, not just two alleles. And those two alleles are going to represent two different characteristics. Now, the example we're going to use in this particular video has to do with the length of a plant and with the flower color. So we're going to be making use of tall and short, purple and red. Now, what the law of independent assortment basically means is that these characteristics are not linked to each other. So it is possible to have a purple flower with a tall stem, but also a purple flower with a short stem. And the same way we can have a tall plant with red flowers and a short plant with red flowers, because the purple isn't linked to tall or short, just like the tall isn't linked to red or purple. So if we look at the law of independent assortment, this is now the definition that comes from the exam guideline. It says that the alleles of different genes, so the purple, the red, the tall, the short, they're going to move independently of each other into the gametes. Now, this also tells me that this process takes place during meiosis, because we're going to be talking about moving them into the gametes. So now we have to ask ourselves the question, how is this going to be assessed? Now, there's three possibilities. The first one, they can go with straightforward definition. They can ask you to state the law of independent assortment. So memorize, study, regurgitate back. Or they can do what they normally do in question 1.2. They can give you the definition and then you have to provide the correct term. Or lastly, they can ask you to apply this to a situation. And specifically here, they're going to ask you to determine the gametes of a P1 generation. And the third one is the one that is most often asked. And it's not always labeled as the law of independent assortment, but it is the application thereof. Now, to be able to do that last one, so the first two is easy, memorize, give back. The last one is where the problem comes in. And here we're going to make use of a little mathematical concept called FOIL. Now, FOIL means first for the F, O for outer, I for inner, and L for last. And we're going to continue with our example about the tall, the short, the purple, and the red. So what we have on the board now is we have a parent, and we want to determine what type of gametes this parent can produce. What will be the genotype of the gametes? Now you're going to have 4 gametes being produced. That's why I put down 4 circles. You don't have to put them in circles, don't worry about that. But you do need to pay attention to what information is going to go into the circles. So let's have a look at FOIL. So we're going to look at first. So the first T with the first P, and that's what you write down. So that will be uppercase and uppercase. Then we'll have outer. So that will be the first T with the last P. Then we're going to go inner. Second T with the first P, and then we're going to go with the last ones. Last T with the last P. That is all the possible combinations. So let's have a look at a past paper. So we're going to have a look at Life Science Paper 2, November 2018. And in this one, they were assessing it under the multiple choice questions. So let's have a look at what they give us first. They say, in a certain species of rabbit, body color is controlled by 2 alleles where black is dominant over white, and they give us the letters they want us to use there. And then ear shape is controlled by a second gene, and the allele for wide ears is dominant over the allele for narrow ears. My first recommendation when you get a question paper like this is to highlight the characteristics. Now I'm going to make use of yellow for the color, the black and the white. And I'm going to use a different color to talk about the wide ears and the narrow ears, just so that I make sure that I've got separated the two types of characteristics. Now in question 1.1.8, they ask, what is the possible genotype for a black rabbit with narrow ears? Now if we have a look at it, if it's black, it means it definitely contains a capital letter B. We are not sure about that second letter. That could be either a capital letter B or it can be a small letter B. And then narrow ears, because narrow ears is showing the recessive characteristic, it means that both of these letters will have to be small. So now we have a look at what is our options. We already know that B is not going to be an option because it doesn't contain our capital letter B. We know that A and C can't be an option because we've got those capital letters E's over there that we cannot work with, which means the only possibility is D. Now if we look at question 1.1.9, what is the possible genotype of gametes produced by a white rabbit with narrow ears? This is a tricky question. Why? Because people tend to read too fast. It's still early in the question paper, so they're very, very stressed, and then they read the wrong thing, or they answer what they think the question was asking and not what the question was actually asking. Now, if we have a look at what they're actually asking, they're asking for the genotype of the gametes. That means that A is not a possibility because that's not a gamete. A gamete will contain one letter from the one characteristic and one letter from the second characteristic, not two. This is in actual fact a parent and not a gamete. Now that we know that, we can have a look at the rest of this question. Now, if we have a look at what does the parent actually look like? The parent is a white rabbit, and a white rabbit is the recessive characteristic, which means it's got two small letter B's, and it's got narrow ears, which is also showing the recessive characteristic, so two small letters here. And this is why A is such a tricky question, because here they were actually giving us the answer to the parent, so it seemed very right. And now we need to do FOIL, or we can just figure this out, and we'll see that, okay, this parent can only give small letter B's and small letter E's, because remember, as a parent, you can't give to your offspring what you don't have. And that makes the answer B. I hope this helps. Thank you for visiting the Chaotic Classroom. See you next time.